Hi, Andrew here, kwmwine.com, your favourite place to buy wine and spirits online. Today we're trying St. Clair's premium range, Sauvignon Blanc, 2016 vintage. So the wine that I suppose St. Clair made their name on, the premium Sauvignon Blanc, and that Marlborough and New Zealand and everywhere else in that country has made his name on, is the Sauvignon Blanc, is Marlborough, is those styles of wines. St. Clair would have been one of the early adopters, I suppose, in that Marlborough region. It's been around for quite some time. In fact, just to see on the back of the label here, it's showing the Ibbotson family who own it planted grapes in Marlborough in 1978. So they were really at the beginning of the wine revolution in New Zealand, because it really only started to kick in around then and sort of early mid 80s, and really exploded then in the 90s in terms of plantings and growth and so on and so forth. So it's an estate bottled wine. It's under their own name. It's not one of these labels that is produced by an importer or a supermarket and has no history, has no nothing to it, all in just a label and says Marlborough Sauvignon. So these are sort of the first tier of New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs, I suppose, and they're still very, very affordable. They're still extremely affordable wines. You know, you're not expecting to pay much more than 13, 14 pounds for these wines. So the prices have remained pretty stable, all things considered. So Marlborough within New Zealand, first of all, is in the top part of that South Island. It has got quite a dry, really nice climate, actually, dry continental style climate, I suppose. One of the highest sunshine hours in New Zealand, so great for growing grapes. And in that particular part of New Zealand, bugger all else would grow, so the soils were so poor. That's how grape growing really started in there. Basically said, with all this land, what are we going to do with it? We know grapes love to grow on bad land and produce good wines, and so forth. The rest is history, I suppose. And they had a big milk industry, of course, in New Zealand as well. So they had a lot of stainless steel tanks. So that's what they used to ferment, and they turned out to be these beautiful aromatic styles of wine, which, wow, these are fantastic. We need to sell these to the world, and the world are lapping them up, particularly in the UK, of course. So 2016 as a vintage in Marlborough was pretty good. It was a bumper vintage, I believe. There was so much volume coming out of New Zealand at that time that they were really struggling for tank space, and had to basically share or send some of their production to North Island tanks just to get somewhere to put the stuff. Even some farms and estates had, gone to the absolute extremes of their production and couldn't take any more wines. They had to leave grapes on vines, so they actually lost production. It was just such a good year. The grape quality was excellent, and it was a bumper harvest. But one thing with New Zealand and Marlborough is they'll not have any problem selling it. It'll sell all day long, no problem. So what else about New Zealand? So interesting facts about New Zealand, I suppose, and Marlborough and such. 75% of New Zealand wine production is within the Marlborough wine region, and within that there's 82 or 83% is Sauvignon Blanc. So you can see how heavily reliant Marlborough for New Zealand, first of all, is on Marlborough, and Marlborough, second of all, is on Sauvignon Blanc. It is the definitive wine style, definitive region for New Zealand, and it's the one that put it on the map. Outside of Sauvignon Blanc, you get a little bit of Pinot Gris, you get a little bit of Chardonnay, and you get a little bit of Pinot Noir from this particular region. But Sauvignon is where it's all about. St. Clair, one of the top producers, and 2016, a very good year as well. So approaching around 2 years old, so this is kind of really just right in its drinking window. Maybe another year on this, I suppose, is where you'd expect to see. Colour-wise, again, not really much colour to it, very clean. Maybe slight greeny tinge to it, as you might expect. Straight away on the nose you get that pungency. Now, I've smelt lots of New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs over the years, and some of them just are searing. You can really burn the nostrils off you almost. This is got a lovely rich aromatic. It has the pungency, but it's not searing at the same time. A beautiful black currant leaf straight away, and almost like a stalk of like a tomato plant. That sort of, if you ever go into like a greenhouse and you smell the tomatoes growing, that's kind of what's in this wine, that sort of stalky tomato notes. Following that, then you get the sort of the passion fruit coming through. And then a bit of sort of pink grapefruit or something in there. So it's not all one-dimensional. And sometimes Sauvignon Blanc can be very one-dimensional and it's just fruit, bang, that's it. This is a bit of fruit. It's got that sort of vegetable character, which is really tasty as well. So the better examples, the better producers such as St. Clair will produce wines with a little bit more complexity, which will, your taste buds won't lie. When you try these things against the sort of unbranded ones, if you like, there's no comparison really. Very pleasant on the nose. Lots of fruit salad characters in the palate. High acid as you'll expect, but not mouth-puckeringly so. Beautiful wine, very, very drinkable. And one thing I like about this St. Clair Sauvignon Blanc, and particularly over the years with this particular wine compared to a lot of other Sauvignon Blancs, is that it has a bit of weight, it has a bit of texture. It's not all really lean and thin and sort of citrusy. You get that lovely black currant flavour almost coming through on it. You get fruit salad coming through, bit of vegetable notes. Finishes off with that sort of slightly nettle character on the finish. Really nice. Now I tried this last night with some sea bass, which we had with some like a tomato couscous and roasted tomatoes. It worked beautifully. Those tomato flavours that are in the wine, just lovely. It was a lovely complement to the tomato flavours in the dish and sort of the fish as well. So sometimes these wines can be quite difficult to pair, and because they're such pungent wines, so you have to think carefully about what you want to put these with. They won't work with everything. Now some people, like my father included, will drink these wines with just about anything, roast beef, whatever, forget about it. Drink them with sort of high acid dishes such as tomato. Drink them with things that have got quite a lot of grease in them, such as fish and chips is a good match I find as well, because the acid in these wines help cut through that sort of grease, and then they'll fit well with the fish as well. So they have a little bit of versatility, but of course they drink extremely well by themselves and you don't need very much with them. Green veg works really well, salads work really well. You'll not be disappointed with these. And if you haven't tried St. Clair wines from New Zealand, and I'm sure most people will have tried New Zealand wines, have a look for St. Clair Premium. They're not expensive for what you get. You may pay £1 or £2 or £3 more compared to an own label Sauvignon Blanc or whatever, but you're getting massive amounts more quality and flavour in the actual wines. So really nice, highly recommend St. Clair's Premium Sauvignon Blanc from Marlborough, New Zealand, 2016. Remember, kwmwine.com, place where taste matters. Cheers.